The police officer looked me dead in the eye and asked where the gunshot victim was. I could see Kang Woo in the corner, 6 feet of danger in a $10,000 suit, watching to see if I'd tell the truth. My career. My integrity. My life. Everything I'd worked for came down to this moment. I opened my mouth and lied. That lie destroyed my old life and created one I never asked for. If you want to know if I'd make the same choice again, subscribe to Afro Soul Romance Tales right now. It helps small channels like mine reach people who need to hear stories like this. Because what happened next changed everything. My name is Aria Williams, and I need you to understand something. I'm not the kind of person who lies to police. I'm the responsible oldest daughter from Atlanta who became a nurse because saving lives was supposed to be simple. Good people lived. Bad people faced consequences. Black and white. Easy. Until 3:17 a.m. that Tuesday morning when a dying man got wheeled into my ER, and nothing was simple ever again. 10 hours into my night shift at Seoul General Hospital. My feet were killing me. My back ached. I had exactly 2 hours left before I could go home to my tiny apartment in Itaewon and collapse. I'd been working these brutal overnight shifts for 8 months, sending every spare one back to Atlanta where my younger brother Marcus was fighting leukemia. The treatment was expensive. Insurance covered some of it, but not enough. Never enough. So I took this contract position in Seoul because it paid almost double what I made at Grady Memorial back home, and I told myself I could survive anything for 12 months if it meant Marcus lived. That's what I was thinking about when the ER doors exploded open. Paramedics screaming in Korean, wheels screeching, chaos erupting in a space that was supposed to be controlled. I didn't need translation. I'd seen this dance 100 times. Trauma. Critical. Someone was dying. The man on the gurney was maybe 30 years old. Expensive suit, now soaked black with blood. Gunshot wound to the left abdomen. No ID. No wallet. No phone. His face was pale, lips turning blue, pulse weak and thready under my fingers. He was circling the drain fast. Get him to trauma 2. Trauma panel, type and cross, 2 units O negative on standby. Move. My hands were already moving, cutting away his shirt, applying pressure to the wound, watching the monitor. The bleeding was bad, but not immediately fatal if we moved fast. He had a chance. Not a great one, but a chance. My attending physician Dr. Kim appeared at my shoulder. Middle-aged Korean man, competent but cautious, the kind of doctor who followed every protocol because he'd seen what happened when you didn't. Did they report this to police? He asked me quietly. I don't know. I just got here. Gunshot wounds are mandatory reporting. Call them now. I reached for the phone on the wall. Standard procedure. Gunshot victim equals police notification equals investigation. I'd done it a dozen times back in Atlanta. This should have been automatic. That's when the doors opened again. 6 men in black suits. Moving like they'd done this before. Like they owned the space and everyone in it. Hospital security started toward them, hands up, about to ask them to wait in the lobby. Then security stopped. Just stopped mid-stride. Backed away slowly. I watched one security guard actually put his phone away like he decided whatever he was about to do wasn't worth it anymore. The man leading them made the entire ER go silent. He was maybe late 30s, early 40s. Tall. Sharp jawline that could cut glass. Black hair styled back perfectly despite the early morning hour. Suit that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. But it wasn't the suit or the face that made everyone freeze. It was his eyes. Dark and cold and completely devoid of fear. This was a man who'd seen death. Who'd caused death. Who looked at a room full of people and calculated exactly how much of a threat each person posed. Those eyes swept the ER and landed on trauma 2. On the man I was trying to save. He walked straight toward us. Didn't ask permission. Didn't acknowledge the nurses who scattered out of his way. Just walked like the floor belonged to him. His 5 companions fanned out, positioning themselves at exits, watching angles. Professional. Military precise. He stopped at the foot of the gurney and looked at the unconscious man. For just a second, maybe 2, something flickered across his face. Not quite emotion. More like the ghost of emotion. His jaw clenched. Just once. But I saw it. This mattered to him. The dying man's eyes suddenly fluttered open. He looked past me, focused on the man in the suit, and his cracked lips formed a single word in Korean. Hyung. Brother. His hand lifted slightly, reaching, before falling back to the gurney. Blood bubbled at the corner of his mouth. Then his eyes rolled back and the monitor started screaming. He's crashing. I need the defibrillator now. I worked on autopilot. Compressions. Shocks. Medications pushed through his fore, fighting to drag him back from wherever he'd started to go. The man in the suit watched every move I made. Not speaking. Not interfering. Just present. His intensity filled the room like a physical force. After 2 minutes that felt like hours, the monitor beeped. Steady. Strong. The dying man's eyes stayed closed, but his chest rose and fell on its own. He's stable. For now. The man in the suit's eyes found mine. You're treating him. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact delivered in perfect English, with barely a trace of accent. Dr. Kim stepped forward, trying to assert some kind of authority. Sir, you can't be in here. This is a sterile environment. You need to wait outside while we work. The man's head turned slightly. Not even a full turn. Just enough that Dr. Kim was in his peripheral vision. He didn't say anything. Didn't have to. Dr. Kim's protest died in his throat. He actually took a step backward. The man looked at me again. I asked you a question. My mouth was dry. Yes. I'm his nurse. Then save him. The way he said it. Not a request. Not even really a command. Just an expectation that I would do this thing because he decided it would happen. Like reality bent around his will. I went back to work. Checking vitals. Adjusting for drips. Monitoring for internal bleeding. The patient needed surgery, but he was stable enough to survive the next hour. Maybe longer. That's when Dr. Kim leaned close and whispered something that made my blood run cold. I called the police. They're on their way. My heart stopped. I glanced at the man in the corner. At the way he stood so perfectly still. At the 5 other men positioned throughout the ER. At the security guards who'd backed away without being told. I didn't know his name yet. Didn't know what he did. But I knew what he was. You don't walk into a hospital ER with that kind of power, that kind of fear following you, unless you're deep in something illegal. And Dr. Kim had just signed everyone's death warrant. I had maybe 3 minutes. Maybe less. 3 minutes before police walked through those doors and this entire situation exploded into something I couldn't control. 3 minutes to decide what kind of person I was going to be. The ER doors opened. 2 police officers. Young. Confident. Walking in like they owned the space until they saw the men in suits. Then their confidence wavered. Just slightly. But they'd committed. They were here. They had a job to do. We got a call about a gunshot victim, one of them said to Dr. Kim in Korean. I understood enough to follow. Dr. Kim opened his mouth. Started to point toward trauma too. I stepped forward before I could think about it. Before I could talk myself out of it. False alarm. Construction accident. Rebar through the side. We already treated and released him. The lie came out smooth. Too smooth. Like I'd been practicing it. Like some part of me had known all along that this was the choice I'd make. I was speaking in English, but one of the officers understood. Started translating for his partner. The officers looked skeptical. Can we see the patient? He left 10 minutes ago. Against medical advice. My voice didn't shake. That scared me more than anything. You can check with admissions if you want. The officers exchanged glances. One of them started to move toward the trauma bay. Then one of the suited men appeared in the hallway. Just standing there. Not threatening. Not moving. Just present. Hand resting casually near his waistband where I could see the outline of something that definitely wasn't a phone. The officers stopped. Had a quiet conversation. Decided whatever this was, it wasn't worth dying over. They left. The ER stayed silent for a long moment after they were gone. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even the monitors seemed quieter. Dr. Kim stared at me like he'd never seen me before. What did you just do? I couldn't answer. Didn't have words for what I'd just done. Don't. I don't want to know. Dr. Kim walked away fast. Like distance would protect him from whatever I'd just made him complicit in. I turned. The man in the corner was still watching me, but something had changed in his expression. Not warmth exactly, but recognition. Like he'd just confirmed something he'd suspected about me. My hands were shaking now. Reaction setting in. Adrenaline crash. The realization that I'd just lied to police. That I'd just protected a criminal. That I'd destroyed every principle I'd built my career on. For a stranger. For a man who might be a killer. For someone's brother. The patient was stable. Surgery arrived and took him away. The man in the suit followed without a word. His 5 companions melted away like they'd never been there. The ER returned to normal chaos. Other patients. Other emergencies. Life continued like the last 30 minutes hadn't just rewritten my entire existence. I finished my shift in a daze. Mechanically going through motions. Checking vitals. Administering medications. Smiling at patients. Pretending everything was fine. At 6 am I clocked out. Walked to the locker room. Changed out of my scrubs. Put on jeans and a sweater. Grabbed my bag. Headed for the parking garage. My car was on level B2. Underground. Poorly lit. The kind of place that always made me walk faster and keep my keys between my fingers. I was halfway to my car when I saw it. A black Mercedes. Parked next to my beat-up Hyundai. Engine running. Windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. I knew who it was. Of course I knew. I could have run. Could have gone back upstairs. Called security. Called the police. Done any number of things that might have kept me safe. Instead, I kept walking. The back door of the Mercedes opened as I approached. Get in, a voice said from inside. Not a request. A command. I should have been terrified. Should have been running. Should have been doing anything except what I did. I got in the car. The interior smelled like expensive leather and subtle cologne. The man from the ER sat across from me. Up close he was even more striking. Even more dangerous. In the better light of the car I could see the faint scar along his jawline. The silver ring on his right hand. The way his suit jacket hung perfectly despite the early morning hour. He studied me for a long moment. I studied him back. Refusing to look away. Refusing to show fear even though my heart was hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. You lied to the police, he said finally. Yes. Why? I took a breath. Because I saw your face when you looked at him. And I knew if I didn't lie, everyone in that ER would be in danger. Smart. Or cowardly. No. Cowardly would be calling the police anyway and hoping they'd protect you. You assessed the situation and made the practical choice. That's not cowardice. That's survival intelligence. Silence stretched between us. Outside the car, Seoul was waking up. Early morning traffic. People heading to work. Normal people living normal lives while I sat in a car with a man who could probably kill me and make my body disappear before anyone noticed I was gone. How is he? I asked. Stable. Thanks to you. He paused. Ji-hoon is my younger brother. My only family. You saved him. I was doing my job. You were. And then you went beyond your job when you lied for us. He leaned forward slightly. That makes you either very brave or very stupid. Maybe both. Almost a smile. Just the ghost of one. I need to know if you're going to be a problem. I won't say anything. I just want to forget this happened. You can't forget. Neither can I. His voice dropped. You're a liability now. You lied to police. That makes you complicit. If they investigate, if anyone asks questions, you're implicated. Fear shot through me. Real fear. The kind that made my throat tight and my palms sweat. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you protection. And employment. What? I run an organization. Not the legal kind. My people get hurt. Often. We can't always come to hospitals. Too many questions. I need someone with medical expertise who can treat injuries discreetly. You've already proven you can do that. So you're a criminal. Yes. Let's not pretend otherwise. The question is whether you can work with that. I don't know what you do. But whatever it is, I'm not part of it beyond medical care. And I'm not asking you to be. Medical support only. Nothing else. For 10 million won per month. My brain stuttered. 10 million won. That was more than double my hospital salary. That was Marcus's treatment paid for in months instead of the year I'd been planning. That was everything I'd been working toward. Why me? Because you lied to protect someone you didn't know. Because you fought for Ji-hoon's life like it mattered. And because I've already had you investigated. Your brother Marcus in Atlanta. Leukemia. Treatment costs your family can't afford. You're working night shifts at Seoul General on a temporary visa, sending every spare one home. My blood turned to ice. You investigated me. I investigate everyone who enters my world. I'm not threatening your brother. He's in Atlanta. Far from my reach. I'm offering you a way to save him. The way he said it. Matter of fact. No emotion. Just stating reality. I should have said no. Should have told him to go to hell. Should have gotten out of that car and taken my chances with whatever consequences came from lying to police. But I thought about Marcus. About the latest bill from the hospital. About my mother's voice on the phone last week, tired and scared, telling me they might have to stop treatment if we couldn't pay. If I do this, I said slowly, I need conditions. His eyebrow raised slightly. I'm listening. 1. I don't get involved in anything illegal beyond treating injuries. No drugs. No weapons. No killing. Medical support only. Agreed. 2. If someone needs a hospital, we get them to a hospital. I won't let someone die because you're worried about police. Agreed. With the understanding that I decide what qualifies as hospital-level emergency. 3. I need this in writing. A contract. Proof this was a legitimate medical position. Done. I took a breath. And one more thing. When you find whoever shot your brother, when you deal with them, you don't do it in front of me. His expression hardened. I'm going to find them. And when I do, they're going to die. That's not negotiable. I know. And I can't stop you. But I don't want to watch it happen. He studied me for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. I can give you that. He extended his hand. I looked at it. This was the moment. The point of no return. Take his hand and everything changed. Walk away and face whatever consequences came from lying to police without his protection. I took his hand. His grip was firm. Warm. The contact sent an unexpected jolt through me that I absolutely didn't want to analyze. Welcome to the family, Miss Williams. I'm Kang Woo. It's Arya. If I'm going to be patching up your people, you might as well use my first name. That ghost of a smile appeared again. Arya. The way my name sounded in his voice did something to my insides that was completely inappropriate given the circumstances. I'll have the contract drawn up by tomorrow. My driver will pick you up tomorrow night at 9. Bring whatever medical supplies you think you'll need. I'll reimburse you. He opened the car door. Our business concluded. Just like that. I got out. Walked to my car on shaking legs. Sat in the driver's seat for 10 minutes before I could trust myself to drive. I'd just made a deal with the devil. The first job came 3 nights later. Kang Woo's driver picked me up at 9 p.m. sharp. Black Mercedes. Same one from the parking garage. He drove me to a warehouse in Mapo. Industrial area. Mostly empty this time of night. The kind of place where screams wouldn't carry. Inside, the warehouse had been converted into something that looked almost legitimate. Office furniture. Shipping containers. A small break room with a coffee maker and refrigerator. And in the back corner, a space that had been set up as a makeshift medical bay. Exam table. Cabinets stocked with supplies. Even an autoclave for sterilizing instruments. Someone had put thought into this. Kang Woo was waiting. He'd traded his suit for dark pants and a black button-down. Sleeves rolled up. Looking less like a businessman and more like exactly what he was. We have 3 tonight, he said without preamble. Knife wounds. Bar fight. Nothing life-threatening, but they need stitches. He led me to a side room where 3 men waited. All in their 20s or early 30s. All looking sheepish. One had a gash across his forearm. Another had a cut on his shoulder. The third had a slice along his ribs that looked painful but shallow. I got to work. Cleaned the wounds. Administered local anesthetic. Stitched them up while Kang Woo watched from the corner. The men were respectful. Called me Wisanim. Doctor. Even though I told them I was just a nurse. They bowed when I finished. Thanked me with genuine gratitude. When the last one left, Kang Woo walked me back through the warehouse. You did well. They were easy cases. They won't all be easy. His voice was quiet. Are you ready for that? I don't know. But I took the job. So I guess I'll find out. He studied my face in the dim light. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone more afraid. Or more greedy. You're neither of those things. Maybe I'm just good at hiding it. Maybe. Or maybe you're exactly what you appear to be. Someone trying to save people. Even when those people don't deserve saving. Do you think you don't deserve saving? The question hung in the air between us. For a moment I thought he might answer. Might let me see past that carefully controlled exterior. Then one of his men called his name from across the warehouse and the moment broke. The driver will take you home, he said. Same time next week. Over the next 6 weeks, I fell into a rhythm that shouldn't have felt normal but somehow did. Hospital shifts during the day. Kang Woo's jobs 3 nights a week. The injuries varied. Gunshot wounds mostly. Stab wounds. Broken bones from what the men euphemistically called disagreements. Burns from something I didn't ask about. Dislocations. One memorable night, a guy who'd gotten his hand caught in a car door during what I strongly suspected was a very unsuccessful theft attempt. I didn't ask questions. Just treated injuries. Saved lives. Sent money home to Atlanta where Marcus's scans were finally showing real improvement. The kind of improvement that made my mother cry happy tears on video calls. The kind that made me think maybe I'd made the right choice after all. And I watched Kang Woo. He was there for almost every treatment. Standing in corners. Watching with those unreadable dark eyes. Sometimes asking questions about procedures. Sometimes silent. But always present. Always paying attention. I started noticing things I shouldn't have been noticing. The way his jaw clenched when someone was badly injured. The way his hands flexed like he wanted to help but didn't know how. The way he sometimes touched his own ribs like something there hurt but he'd never admit it. The way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't paying attention. It was distracting. It was dangerous. It was also impossible to ignore. 7 weeks in, everything shifted. I was stitching up a bullet graze on a young guy's arm. Couldn't have been more than 22. Baby-faced. Nervous. He kept apologizing in broken English every time he flinched. It's okay. Almost done. Just a few more stitches. He shifted his weight and his elbow caught my instrument tray. Tools scattered across the floor with a deafening clatter. Scalpels and forceps and hemostats everywhere. Sorry, he said. He looked terrified. Like he expected to be punished severely for such a small mistake. It's fine. Accidents happen. Stay still so I can finish. But Kang Woo crossed the room in 3 strides. You need to replace those instruments, he said to the young man. His voice wasn't angry. Just firm. Boss, I didn't mean to, I was just... I know. But Miss Williams's supplies are expensive and difficult to replace. You'll work an extra shift to cover the cost. Understood? The young man nodded rapidly. Bowed deeply to me. I'm so sorry, Wisenim. After he left, I knelt to gather the scattered instruments. Kang Woo crouched beside me without a word. Started picking up forceps and placing them carefully in my hands. Our fingers brushed, and I felt that same unexpected jolt from the car that first morning. That was surprisingly gentle, I said quietly. He's young. Still learning. His first real job for us. No point punishing someone harshly for an accident. He paused. My father taught me that leadership isn't about inspiring fear. It's about taking care of the people who trust you with their lives. That's a good philosophy. It got him killed. The words were so quiet I almost missed them. I looked up and found him watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Vulnerability mixed with something darker. I'm sorry. Don't be. He was a better man than I'll ever be. He believed people could change. That even someone deep in this world could find redemption. He stood slowly, offering me his hand to help me up. I took it. Let him pull me to my feet. He didn't let go right away. Do you believe that? I asked. That people can change? I don't know. But I know my father died believing it. So maybe there's something to it. We stood there. Too close. His hand still holding mine. The warehouse suddenly feeling much smaller than it had moments ago. Then his phone rang. The spell broke. He stepped back, all business again. But something had shifted between us. Something I wasn't ready to name, but couldn't deny. If you're still watching and wondering where this is going, subscribe to Afro Soul Romance Tales right now. Because what happens next will test everything Arya thought she knew about right and wrong. Your support helps small channels like mine grow and reach people who need these stories. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Week 8 was when I realized I was in trouble. Not the kind of trouble that came from working for a criminal organization. That trouble I'd accepted the moment I shook Kang Woo's hand in that parking garage. This was different. More dangerous in a way I hadn't anticipated. I was falling for him. It hit me during a routine job. Gunshot wound to the thigh. Arterial bleed. Bad, but manageable if I worked fast. The patient was one of Kang Woo's senior men. Older. Calm despite the blood. He'd clearly been through this before. I was elbow deep in his leg, clamping the damaged artery, when Kang Woo's phone rang. He answered in rapid Korean. His voice changed. Got hard. Dangerous. He said something sharp and ended the call. When I glanced up, his expression was carved from stone. What's wrong? I asked. Nothing you need to worry about. But I could see the tension in his shoulders. The way his jaw was clenched so tight, I was worried he'd crack a tooth. I finished stitching. Bandaged the wound. Gave the patient instructions for care. He left with help from another man. Then it was just Kang Woo and me in that makeshift medical bay. You're a terrible liar, I said. For a criminal, you're really bad at hiding when something's wrong. That almost got a smile. Almost. Ji-hoon, he said finally. He's having nightmares. About the shooting. He won't talk to anyone about it. Not even me. Have you tried just sitting with him? Not talking. Just being there. He looked at me like I'd suggested something revolutionary. That works? It worked with my brother. When Marcus first got diagnosed, he didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to process it. But having someone there, someone who wasn't trying to fix it or make it better, that helped. Kang Woo nodded slowly. I'll try that. He started to leave. Then stopped. Turned back. Thank you. Not just for the advice. For everything. For Ji-hoon. For my men. For not running when you had every reason to. I could have left it there. Should have left it there. Instead I said what I'd been thinking for weeks. You're not what I expected either. What did you expect? A monster. Someone cruel and heartless. Someone I could hate and keep at a distance. And now? Now I don't know what you are. But I know you're not a monster. He crossed the room. Slowly. Giving me time to step back. To maintain distance. I didn't move. He stopped close enough that I could feel the heat coming off him. Close enough to see the faint scar along his jawline. Close enough to count his eyelashes if I wanted to. I should tell you to stay away from me, he said quietly. That getting close to me will only bring you pain. That everyone I've ever cared about has ended up dead or damaged. But you're not going to tell me that. No. Because I'm not that good of a man. He reached up. Slowly. Giving me every chance to move away. His fingers brushed my cheek. So gentle it made my breath catch. I should let you go back to your normal life. But I can't. Because somewhere between that parking garage and right now, you became mine. I should have been scared. Should have been running. Should have been doing anything except leaning into his touch like I'd been starving for it. This is a terrible idea, I whispered. The worst. You're a criminal. And you're the woman who lied to police to save my brother. I think we're past worrying about good decisions. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. Wasn't tentative. It was the kiss of a man who'd been holding back for too long and finally stopped fighting himself. His hand slid into my hair. His other hand found my waist and pulled me against him. And I kissed him back with every ounce of the want I'd been trying to ignore for weeks. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. This changes everything, I said. I know. Your world is dangerous. I know. I could get hurt. I'll die before I let that happen. The certainty in his voice should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel safer than I had in months. We stood there for a long moment. Neither of us wanting to move. Knowing once we left this room, reality would come crashing back. Then his phone rang again. He cursed in Korean. Answered it. His expression went from soft to lethal in seconds. When he hung up, I knew something was very wrong. What is it? Ji-hoon. He's awake. And he's saying things. Things about who shot him. Things that change everything. He looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Part dread. Part determination. He'll only talk to you. Says you're the only one he trusts with this. His voice dropped. Arya, whatever he tells you, it's going to pull you deeper into my world than you've ever been. If you want out, now's the time. I'll get you a new identity. New city. Make sure you're safe. And Marcus? My family? Taken care of. All of it. Just say the word and you're free. I thought about it. Really thought about it. About going back to Atlanta. About finding a normal job at a normal hospital. About dating normal men who didn't have blood on their hands and ice in their veins. About never seeing Kang Woo again. Take me to Ji-hoon, I said. Arya. Take me to him. Whatever he needs to say, I need to hear it. Kang Woo studied my face for a long moment. Then nodded. What neither of us knew was that Ji-hoon's secret would start a war that would force me to choose between the man I was falling for and everything I'd ever believed about right and wrong. That his words would set off a chain of events that would end with me standing over a body, a gun in my hands, wondering how I'd become the very thing I'd sworn never to be. But that story, that choice, that moment that changed everything, that's what comes next. If you want to know what Ji-hoon told me in that hospital room, what secret he'd been carrying that nearly got him killed, and why it would force me to become something I'd never wanted to be, you need to come back for part 2. Subscribe to Afro Seoul Romance Tales right now so you don't miss it. Drop a comment telling me what you think Ji-hoon's secret is. I read every single one. And remember, your support helps small channels like mine reach the people who need these stories most. This is Arya Williams, reminding you that sometimes the right choice looks exactly like the wrong one. And sometimes the man you should run from is the one you can't walk away from.